Yes, that is a very important win. Very, very important. So this is the first game of a very, as I said, very important stretch of Flyers hockey. They now face a bunch of teams that they basically need to lose, and teams where if you can pick up some points against them, it'll help them in the playoff race. It starts tonight against Florida. Then you got the Islanders tomorrow. Then you have Florida again in Florida on Thursday, and then later in the stretch you got Tampa, Columbus, and a couple other teams. So to come back into tonight's game, the Flyers, they played a really well all-around game. I thought all four lines were actually pretty good tonight. The fourth line was amazing. They were absolutely amazing. I'm going to get to all those details in a little bit. So the Flyers basically went with the same lines that they went with last game versus Washington. They had the only difference that I saw was Giroux at center, and then Couturier on the wing with Voracek. You still had Lawton, Hayes, Konechny, Van Riemsdyk, Frost, and Pitlick, and then your fourth line of Bunneman, Aube, Kubel, and Raffl. So the Flyers really just basically had a bunch of different line combinations that were really working tonight. I mean, as I said, the fourth line, they had a lot of good chances. So early on, the Flyers were kind of struggling to get settled in. There was a couple chances that the Panthers had. It looked like Hart was a little shaky as well. So to start off, the first line's out there. The Flyers had the first line matched up against Barkov, and then they kind of shifted away from that a little bit. They had a different line out there. It looked like it was the Hayes line, and then it kind of went back into that with Couturier and Giroux versus Barkov, Dadonov, and Huberdeau, and they were trying to shake up the the matchups on the ice at first, and then they kind of went back to them. So early on, the Panthers are starting to get a couple chances by. Shot from the point from Ekblad, which was weird because he was wide open, deflected right over to Weegar. He blasted it by Hart. It went 5-hole. It didn't really look like Hart saw it. It just went right under his pad. Squeaked in. That was 1-0 Florida. It was kind of a weird goal. As I said, the shot from Ekblad literally went right to him. It was the luckiest bounce in the world, and he wired it by Hart, made it 1-0. Later in the period, the Flyers are starting to get some pressure. They're starting to get pucks in deep, and they're starting to work in the offensive zone. Barkov, he breaks his stick. Provorov passes it over to Niskanen. He's got a wide open pass back to Provorov. As I said, Barkov with the broken stick. Provorov really has all the time in the world. He snipes it past Bobrovsky glove side, and we got a tie hockey game 1-1. As I said, as the Flyers were kind of starting to struggle a little bit, they just couldn't really get into the zone cleanly. And Morgan Frost, he had a couple chances where he just lost the puck. They generated back, and the Panthers were very fast in the neutral zone in the first period. They had a lot of chances, and then the Flyers got a power play late. At that time, the shots, I believe, were 10-6 in favor of Florida, and the Flyers had a boatload of chances in the last couple minutes of the period, including the power play, and then they end the first period with an 11-10 shot advantage, and we go into the second period, and the Panthers, they're coming out really strong early. Again, they had two pretty big starts here. They generate a lot of chances, and then the Flyers, they get a really nice play here from Voracek, as before this, a lot of the lines were starting to cycle it around. They're getting some point shots. And in the points tonight for the Flyers, a lot of the defensemen, guys like Myers, Sanheim, Niskanen, even Justin Braun, they were all just throwing pucks on the net. There was a lot of times where the defensemen were just throwing it on net. There was a couple rebounds, and the Flyers offensive players were just picking up the puck and cycling it, redoing the exact same thing. The fourth line, they really contributed in this period. They were getting a lot of chances. And then James Van Riemsdyk got a goal on a nice little 2-on-1. So it was such a weird goal because they made like the weirdest change in the world. I've never seen it in my life. They make the change, and then Voracek just tips it by a Florida player. He skates in. He's got Van Riemsdyk. It was basically a 2-on-0, but it was like kind of slanted. Voracek was here. Van Riemsdyk was a little bit ahead of him. He passed it over. Van Riemsdyk had a wide open net, and it was 2-1 Flyers. And then the Flyers were really dominating for a little bit of that period, and then Florida started to come back on. They had a lot of their chances. The Flyers got a power play. And then the Flyers, they gave up a couple shorthanded chances as well in the second period. Finally, thankfully, Carter Hart was very solid in this period. He looked like he was really back to his old self. Looked like he hadn't even missed a game because he was playing that well in the net. He's definitely got his confidence back later into the second period, and then and through the rest of the game. And then Travis Sanheim, with about a minute left, he breaks up a pass in the Flyer zone, sets up a breakout over to Van Riemsdyk, up to Lawton. He makes a spin pass. It gets deflected on net. Van Riemsdyk shoots it. It's a wide open rebound. Sanheim, he backhands it on Bobrovsky. It's a 3-1 Flyers lead. So Sanheim, He has 19 career goals. 6 of them are versus Bobrovsky, so that's about a third of his goals right there are just against Bobrovsky. I don't know what it is, but he's basically Bobrovsky's kryptonite, and it was a 3-1 Flyers lead going into the second intermission. Travis Konechny was very aggressive in that period. He had 5 block shots to start the third period that was accredited. He had a couple chances. There was a play where he blocked a shot, it went to the bench, he messed up his hand, he had a couple big hits, he made some good plays on the forecheck. It was like a different night for Konechny. It looked like he was trying to establish a physical presence that we haven't really seen. We kind of seen more of an offensive game with Konechny than more of like the trash talk and things like that. But he was very aggressive tonight, and I really liked his play. And going into the third period, the Flyers were 20-0-2 when leading after 2 periods, and that continued tonight. They're now 21-0-2. So into the third period, the third and fourth line, those lines were really forechecking well early on. The Flyers got a couple chances. And I just want to talk about the penalties here because there was a couple penalties that just were horrible. So if you remember the last game, that embellishment call that was on Couturier, that was by the same referee who refereed tonight. He called a penalty on Pitlick for goalie interference when Pitlick got shoved into the net and then he was taken for goal interference off the ice. It made absolutely no sense. It was a horrible call. Thankfully, Florida doesn't score. The Flyers had a really strong penalty kill. Guys like Hayes, guys like Provorov, Niskanen, Giroux, Couturier, they were really good tonight on the penalty kill, and the Flyers were able to shut it down. And it was funny because that last game versus New Jersey where the Flyers had that one chance where Voracek had a wide open net and he hit the post and it just sat there. In the dying minute of the game, Huberdeau has a wide open chance to flex off the post. He goes to shoot it. It does the exact same thing. He just completely misses it. Giroux sends a backhander all the way down. Empty net goal. Flyers win it 4-1. And that goal was shorthanded as well. So the Flyers down 5 shorthanded goals on the year. 4 from Hayes and 1 from Giroux. So now I thought this was a really good game for the Flyers. They played very well defensively. They gave up a couple things that they gave up a decent amount of chances that I was kind of hoping that that didn't happen. Thankfully, Carter Hart was there to back them up, and they battled for a full 60 minutes tonight, and they got the all-important 2 points. And now I'm going to give you the advanced stats for tonight's game. All right, what's up, guys? So I got the advanced stats from tonight's game versus Florida. You see the Flyers side here with the heat map. As I said, they get a lot of chances from the point, which is that the big red spot means the more chances. That's, the closer chances of you getting a goal. So they had a lot of chances. Really, the main spot was from the point. As I said, they had a lot of guys shooting the puck, guys like Niskanen, Myers, Braun, Sanheim. And they go to Florida, then you have their goal. From the top of the circle, that was from Weir. He was completely wide open. Then the Flyers' 2 goals were in front from Van Riemsdyk and Sanheim, and then you got the shot from the back from Provorov as well. And now we're going to move into the Corsi. All right, so the Corsi here, the Flyers. In the first period, the Flyers actually got killed in the Corsi. They had a 39-29 percentage to the Panthers' 71 percentage. And then in the second period, the Flyers started to heat it up a little bit. They had a 58.82% to the Panthers' 41.18%. And then in the third period, the Panthers, who had a couple different power plays and just a majority of chances because they were down 2 goals, relatively close game, had a 54-55% total there to the Flyers 45.45, and end the game it was very close, almost half, 50-68 to 49-32 for Florida with the edge over the Flyers in the Corsi percentage. And now to move into the regular game stats. All right, so the regular game stats here, you got the Flyers out shooting the Panthers 34-31. Carter Hart, he makes 30 saves on 31 shots. Relatively really good game for him coming back from injury. Faceoffs were 55% to 45% for the Flyers. Both teams' power plays went 0 for 5. I thought the Flyers had a really good power play. Majority of that because Giroux was on the left side. They were able to get that one-timer. I thought Provorov had a really good game. Offensively, obviously, the goal, he had a couple good power play chances. Guys like Voracek, Konechny, he was really cracking away as well. Florida had 10 giveaways to the Flyers, 8. Both teams had 12 blocks, and the hits were 32-22 in favor of the Flyers. Couturier, he actually surprised me with this one. He had over 21 minutes. He was 22-24 on the night. Provorov was number 1 for defenseman with 25, 22. And then Sanheim, which is actually a really big number for him. He had 23 minutes and 39 seconds. So a relatively good game for these guys tonight, and it was an exciting game for the Flyers. Hopefully they can pick it up tomorrow versus New York.